everybody, I am Julia AnchorHaven and this is my full disclosure diary, episode 7. And in these diaries, I'm getting quite personal and I'm talking about my journey, and my journey is multidimensional. We're getting into things like clones, we're getting into secret space program, super soldier, scientist, Milab, military abductee. We're getting into deep multi-dimensional healing on this journey. So this week I've been working with Christy Campbell and I've been working with Sean Bond, and I also work with David Purcell to talk through some of the memories that I'm getting. And for me, memories have been coming intermittently over the last couple of years. Once I started to connect into quantum healing and work with different people kind of on that kind of level, I started to get more memory recall, and it is intermittent. I don't always know the location, but this past 6 months I've been questioning a lot more. So when something comes in, I'm actively questioning the memory as I'm seeing it. When I'm watching something and I'm feeling an activation, a trigger, or I'm listening to somebody's voice and something comes in, I'm getting better at slowing things down so that I can question it as it's happening. So this week I've been working with Christy Campbell to focus on Mars, but what I'm discovering is I don't remember what Mars feels like, because a lot of the time in the programs I was like a super soldier scientist. I was a genetic scientist. I seemed to be a bit of a math scientist who had like really powerful abilities that was dangerous. So a lot of the memories I have are lab based. And that generally I was in Kruger for that kind of work. I was in the Dark Fleet. So I've got more ship memories coming in for that than anything else. And I have had kind of arena memories where I'm showcasing off soldiers that I've created, and working with Christy I was able to understand why I'd be doing that. And it's literally because it's my own brand of super soldier. It's my own brand of kind of Zukunftskrieger, like a future warrior. So it's what I've come to realize. So and David Purcell was assisting on things like that, especially when they were more mutant clones. So there's a couple of different aspects of me that I've tuned into in the past month. One is like the commercial super soldier, and one is more of a mutant type black market super soldier memory. But it's kind of always of me in the creation process or me in the sales process, like it's products coming forward, which is really weird. So, and Christy was able to confirm that, yeah, that is what's happening. It's like I'm always doing some kind of presentation, I'm always selling, you know, what I've created and stuff like that. So we tuned in a bit deeper into the arena memory that I had, which was me walking into this amphitheater, this kind of arena, and there's different versions of me and others there. And Christy was able to highlight that she thought they were actually holograms, that they weren't really there. And that makes so much sense, because if you're doing a presentation for just like one client but you want to show your product, your fighter, off in that scenario, then it would make sense to make it look busy and things like that. So yeah, so that really resonated with me this week, and I was able then to go on to kind of start to think about what would the branding be. And I realized when we were in Dark Fleet, when we were in all the Kruger and things like that, this is Germanic breakaway civilizations, so we possibly would have spoken German, and I don't actively speak German in the here and now. So I thought, okay, maybe this is why I'm having trouble with some of the things in my mind, because it's probably German words and I can't, yeah. So I was able to bring forward what I thought the German word was, and then I did the research on that, and it was pretty close, yeah, so that was good. But yeah, learning German might actually be something that I need to do. And I know Penny Bradley had a similar issue. She got a big download of files and they were all in German or something. So yeah, so I've just had that kind of same realization now of, oh shit, this is why some things don't make sense, because they're actually in another language. Okay, and so yeah, so we were talking also about the aspects of me off planet that were used in like the sex industry, the entertainment industry. And Ivan Teller on the webinar recalled that I was an exotic dancer on Mars, and we were used, like multiple versions of us were used. And and sold and things like that. So used as slaves, used as entertainment, but also used as assassins. So we would look like an entertainment worker, but then we would also be a spy, or we'd be an assassin. So we'd be getting up close and personal with high-ranking people. We'd either be there to extract information or be there to, you know, do the ending of that person. So yeah, so that resonated, and I was able to see that I could see myself as the exotic dancer aspect, and I could see that I had a tail. So I was either Lyran, like a cat energy, or I was a fox being, is what Christy thought. And I thought, okay, there's definitely a tail present, but I'm not sure if it was a bushy tail or a regular tail. So that's a version of me that I've not tuned into before, so I was able to connect in with those energies. And when we do this, especially when we're talking things through, we're working on the feeling of that energy. We're working on how does that feel, how does that resonate. And when I see myself in that, using my psionic ability, when I see myself in that version, how much of those details can I really tune into? Yeah, can I feel what it felt like to be in that room? Can I hear the sounds in that room? Can I see the lighting and stuff like that? So it's not just us trying to think, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. We're actually tuning in psionically, using all of our senses, yeah, into that environment. So we're basically remote viewing that environment, and feeling what feels right, so that it's activating more of the memory. Yeah, so I know that sounds a bit weird, but that's what we're doing. So when you work with somebody who has that similar ability, then we're able to amplify each other, and that's what happens when you work with Christy Campbell. So you give her a memory, an image, and then she can tune in, and then we bounce off each other to amplify the memories to drill in and get more information. Okay, so this week I was also working with Sean Bond, which is something that I do monthly. And Sean Bond is from psionicleague.com, and I highly recommend working with Sean Bond if you are trying to recover your memories, or you're trying to activate your dormant abilities, or if you have like darker energy around you all the time and you need support. Basically, that's why I work with Sean. He's a really calm person, but he has a lot of authority in the universe. So it was Sean Bond that was originally able to connect into the SSP stuff. So that information was totally camouflaged because I'm a targeted individual. So there's a lot of information about me and my multidimensional aspects that were camouflaged, that were hidden. So because of the lab disaster that happened in the 1950s and things that happened in the Project Paperclip, there are individuals that believe I have information that I'm not aware of, and I've been repeatedly mind wiped to get that information out, right? So that because they believe it's risky or whatever. So I've been targeted and isolated and camouflaged to potentially stop people attacking me. I've been camouflaged by others and attacked by others, if that makes sense. So what I've come to realize is there's different factions. When you get into these programs, there's different factions, different projects, different corporations that are basically all trying to get the same information or work with the same assets. So I have been repeatedly mind wiped, dropped off in suburbia, made to believe that I'm completely mundane and that I have no abilities, and my life has just been targeted to make it a really mundane, difficult, disabled at times lifestyle. Yeah, you know, like yeah, so and I'm breaking against it now. I'm working away from it. So when I did the video with Christy Campbell on I don't even know what day it was now, but the next day I woke up and my hand was injured, and my wrist felt like it had been restrained, like I'd been hung from my wrist. My hand felt like I'd been punching through glass. So I could hardly use my hand, and I couldn't hold my mouse, I couldn't type, which is really weird for me because I do a lot on the computer every day. But because I'd done that video with Christy Campbell, my handlers had punished me in the night, in the astral. So when I woke up, my hand was like incapacitated. I could hardly use it. It was like stuck. And then when I tried to expand it out, there was so much pain. It's really gone today because I've done a lot of healing, and I was working with Sean Bond as well, who confirmed that I was getting attacked in the astral, and that, yeah, I've been punished for that, doing that other video, so he was able to tune into that. So I did a live session with Sean Bond, which is like a little deal that we have, because we're doing like training videos, right? So people can see how he works, and people can see what it's like for me to recover my memory. The active process of recovering memory and recovering psionic abilities. So we've got this little deal going. And but what we didn't expect was to do a 2-hour alter integration live. So it was quite funny. And but it was really, really supported and very chill, and we had a good laugh doing it, and hopefully everybody in the audience you know, experienced upgrades at the same time. I know Christy Campbell put a comment on saying she thought it was very relaxing, which I thought was quite funny. So we started off looking into God, it was 2 hours. I can't even remember now. We started off with a vision quest. So when we do conscious meditation, we are able to vision quest. So we are fully present, but we're going deeper and deeper and deeper into subconscious. But we're totally in control. But we're starting off with an imagery of going into the staircase and things like that. So for me, because of the training that I've had, I go to Yggdrasil. I go to the World Tree, and I access a doorway in the World Tree, and that takes me into my inner temple space. So that's what I accessed in my mind. So I was going down the staircase, and as you're going down the staircase, for me personally, I'm kind of releasing blocks and limitations every step I take down. But every step you take, you're going a little bit deeper into your subconscious. And by using this vision quest technique, we were able to go quite deep and bypass some memory blocks that were there as well. So when I was recalling memories, it was from right at the back of my mind, which is really different from when I'm getting recall coming in from my clones, which comes to the front of my mind. So I know what I was retrieving was me physically experiencing things or aspects of me which have been cloned from my childhood, basically. So I was deeply connected to those things. So it was really good. And we accessed, funnily enough, we accessed a meditation space, a realm that I'd created, which I use for when I'm training others. And this realm is the meditation that you'll hear me say when I say, you know, we're going through a swirling purple portal of light, and we're into the forest, and then the forest leads to a clearing, and that leads to temples and things like that. We access this space. So he's like saying, oh, we're just following this little boar, this pig, and it's taking us. And I'm like, hang on, I know exactly where I am. So he'd gone into a realm in my mind that I use when I am training others and leading others into conscious meditation. So I thought that was amazing, and it's just another kind of level up there to show, you know, his abilities are just spot on. So we did a lot of deep healing there. We did some integration, and then as I was going down the spiral staircase, yeah, for me it's a spiral because I'm in a tree. As I was going down the staircase, I suddenly found myself, because I was thinking it's very dark in here, so I went through a doorway and I entered a lab. And a lot of my memories from the SSP are lab memories. So that seems to be, I've had even though there's millions of clones of me, a lot of my active recall is taking me into super soldier scientist kind of memories. So of course that comfort of the lab popped up, and I went around switching on lights and everything. But as soon as Sean said to me, go to the memory chair, it took me straight back to that Montauk chair, that trip chair. And this is memories that I don't normally access because of fear. And I was able to bypass the fear with Sean's help and support and his loving energy to see that trip chair, that jump chair, I think I called it at the time. But it was like, and I was able to sidestep into the room for the Project Phoenix and feel myself in the chair and feel what I was doing. And this was my personal memory, so it may be different to other people who've been in that similar situation, but this was personally what I could see quite vividly in my mind, and I could feel, even as I talk about it, getting a little bit breathless. So there's a lot of emotion attached to this. So it was a time of my life when there was a lot of torture, and you were tortured so that your memory, so your abilities would be enhanced and activated. So I was able to view a scene in my memory of actively working in that project. I was able to find potential time zone or locations and things like that. So that was pretty intense. And because I was able to access that memory, which has been locked away in like a cabinet of fear for a very long time, I started to integrate the altar. So the altar, I believe, potentially could have been a boy who was between 8 to 11 years old. And the feeling there was like, this was my job, and when I didn't get to do this job, I was like trapped away and tortured. So I wanted to do this job, and I wanted to perform this job, and I didn't want that moment to end, because I knew when it did, I wouldn't be praised hardly. I would just be sent back. And then, it wasn't good. It didn't feel good. But luckily, I was very supported by Sean Bond to get through that. So this is like accessing a memory that I've been scared to access for an entire lifetime. And I was able to do that live on our podcast episode, which we weren't expecting things like that to come forward, but it came through in a really loving way. So we were able to deal with it in the moment. And then I was able to access some other memory, which I believe is from the present, and but it does go back into the past as well. And I ended up remote viewing a facility, so a couple of places, which was a bit unexpected. So I do a monthly session with Sean, but when I have these sessions, I generally need a couple of weeks to process what I've been seeing. I do journaling of it, so the journaling is important, and sometimes I draw pictures, but I allow myself to journal. I'm trying to document, but as you know, this journey is not linear. This is a multi-dimensional, interdimensional journey, so it's not always easy to write these things down or to talk about these things in any way that makes sense. But I'm hoping to go a bit deeper soon, and I will be talking about this a little bit on the Typical Skeptic as well. But yeah, so this is basically what I wanted to cover for this episode. So just know that these things are possible, and when you're working with somebody like Sean Bond, we were able to do healing for not just me. Yeah, we were healing in that full frequency, that full emotional vibration. So we did healing for everyone. Yeah, so that, I do believe that will ripple out, and this is why this work, these memories are so important. Not only is it about acknowledging it and saying, yes, this really happened to me, I know it happened, I've got the memories and I've got the emotional trauma to know that this happened. Unfortunately, for the first 48 or 45 years of my life, I had no idea that this happened. So my world was a mess, because you don't know why you feel a certain way, or why things bother you, or why you do things, or why you go places, right? So that's another episode we'll get into. It's the places that I've traveled to that are all related to the projects and the relationships that I've had that were engineered by the projects. So they're separate episodes in themselves. But yeah, so we did a collective healing. By me accessing my memories, we were able to do a collective healing for people that were involved in that project. Okay, so this is why this work is so important. And of course, you've got to find the right person to do this work with. There's a lot you can do by yourself, but it's important to have a guide on these journeys. So I work with certain people in our community that I've hand selected because of the bond that we have that I didn't even know, basically. But they're, sometimes you're drawn to people because there's a frequency, there's a connection, there's a collective lifetime. Like me and David Purcell, we've lived a lifetime together on that ship. We lived a 20 and back together on that ship. So when we did finally connect, it was familiar. It was very familiar, just like Sean Bond's very familiar. So yeah, so just know that a lot of the things that I'm going through, you may resonate with. You may think it's a load of rubbish, and that's absolutely fine. You're entitled to your opinion, just like I'm entitled to mine. I'm not looking for feedback. I'm not looking for comments. I'm not looking for any kind of clarification on other people's memories. These are my own, my personal recall. And sometimes it's helpful not to hear other people's recall so that you can see that what you're getting back from your subconscious mind, from things that have been locked away, are true to you. And so yeah, so I sometimes, especially with the Montauk stuff, I don't listen to other people's and even though there's support groups out there, Misha Johnson does a support group. There may be other support groups out there, I'm not familiar, but and it can be helpful hearing other people's testimony. But sometimes it's nice to know when you're getting active recall that that's, you know, that it's not been compromised in any way, that it's true to you. Yeah, so it's important to trust how you feel and know that this information is basically held within you on a cellular level. It's going to come out at some point. Yeah, and I'm glad that I'm doing it in this controlled way so you guys can experience what I'm having coming forward and see who I'm working with and witness it in real time as well. I think that's important. So I'm going to continue doing my videos. It doesn't make any difference to me if they get watched or not, but this whole process is helping me remember and heal myself. And as I do that, collectively, we're healing others who have similar wounding, because these projects were collective wounds because they were so major. I do believe some of them have become collective wounding. I apologize for my glasses. My head gets really wonky sometimes. So yeah, so thank you for watching. Please head to my website, anchorhaven.co.uk, if you'd like to work with me, if you'd like to support my work. It's paypal.me/anchorhaven. I do have some special offers on at the moment. I'm also doing an online retreat with Soma Ara on the 31st of August. That will be on Zoom. So you can head to Eventbrite to look into that. The date today is the 20th of August, 2025. Thank you so much for watching, and please take care and be safe.